Welcome everybody. I am watching the Starship integrated flight test number 4. Watching it live, and you can join me right now. I'll bring up we got the live chat right there. Hello everybody. Glad you're here. We've got a bunch of people already watching. It's early. It's Saturday. Not Saturday. Thursday. It's early Saturday. I almost said Saturday again. Thursday morning. I set my alarm for 6 something, which I don't normally do, but I did it for this. This is supposed to be good. So here is the current live view from streaming live on X, or what used to be called Twitter. And I'm going to bring up their audio and
species. Starship is designed for rapid reusability, which means the booster and the ship need to re-enter Earth's atmosphere
exciting.
and land back precisely at the launch
space
site.
Exploration.
With each flight test, we gather more and more
Let's bring this
data
down.
to help hone
I think that NASA, they were limited by what Congress would do, but they were not able to do the cool stuff in the early 70s that everybody was expecting them to do. Instead, they did 50 years of low Earth stuff. So they're finally doing things back out farther out, but it's kind of late. SpaceX is way ahead of them, I think. So anyway, will it explode is a question.
And now in space.
Starship is designed to have a large surface area to create considerable drag during re-entry. Traveling at about 27,000 kilometers per hour, or almost 17,000 miles per hour, Starship compresses the air in front of it, causing the temperature of the air to rise and ionize, turning it into plasma. This plasma layer interferes with communications by absorbing and reflecting radio waves, leading to the communications blackout we've seen historically with spacecraft during atmospheric re-entry.
All right. So will Starship experience a RUD, a rapid unscheduled disassembly, is the poll question for you there. So this is number 4. The first 2, they had to engage the make boom button, and on the third one they did not, but it didn't do as good as they were hoping in the final parts that they were testing. So here's the video of some of the last minutes of the upper stage from the last time. It wasn't quite orienting itself correctly into the air as it started to lose altitude, but it was moving fast enough that it blew itself up. So, and the other one, the bottom stage, also had some problems. The previous one didn't relight the engines well. And it came in a little hot, a little fast, and then had problems. So anyway, let me show you this here. I got coffee today. This is you may remember him from Parks and Rec. Never half-ass 2 things, whole-ass 1 thing. So I thought you'd enjoy that. So. All right.
And we'll keep experimenting during entry.
They're doing their lead up. When will
a
go?
few
We got 16 minutes left.
Missing or looking different near the bottom of Starship. We intentionally
trying to get their audio. When I'm talking, I got to bring theirs down. Duh. So they're loading the fuel, and at some point they stop the fuel. And they're talking about they're intentionally leaving those off and have some sensors to see what happens.
That's right. No one has ever succeeded in creating a fully and rapidly reusable heat shield. So we could see some spectacular failures before we get this right. But with communications improving on each flight, we will continue to gather more and more data to inform our development.
Ace SW says, have you watched or seen Veritas's 7-hour, 44-minute video on Flat Earth? I've seen, I'm maybe around halfway through. It's pretty solid. It is a solid video. I love it. I had been in communication with Veritas on and off for a couple months while he was working on it. I went on his show, on his Twitch show. So there's some clips. I don't remember exactly where I said it, but he's got clips of me talking, wearing a Batman shirt with red on it, a red Batman logo. And I don't know if that was when I was on his stream or if that was another time I was on there. So that's that. Yep. So I knew about it, and so when he put it out, I was excited to see that. So I might do a couple clips to promote it on my channel for promotion. So all right, what are they talking about here?
It's fully suited. Tests like this are incredibly helpful for engineers designing these systems, as they have the opportunity to get feedback directly from experienced astronauts Peggy Whitson, who is on the right of this photo, and Doug Wheelock, who's on the left. You can see them in action during this elevator test.
SpaceX will perform one uncrewed demonstration flight before NASA's Artemis 3 mission, which will be the first human surface expedition since 1972. After those first expeditions, we'll be ready to fly more people along with everything it takes to build a moon base. In many ways, Artemis feels like an extension of the human spaceflight work SpaceX and NASA have been partnering on for some time now. In fact, we just celebrated the anniversary of the Demo 2 mission.
That's right. Just 4 years ago, on May 30th, 2020, SpaceX launched the first crewed test flight of our Crew Dragon spacecraft. Dragon carried NASA astronauts Douglas Hurley and Robert Behnken to the International Space Station in the first crewed orbital spaceflight launched from the United States since the final Space Shuttle mission in 2011, and the first ever operated by a commercial provider.
I love that it's Bob and Doug. If you're a fan of Strange Brew, Bob and Doug is the perfect, great people to go.
And it's exciting to think about Starship being the next to take its first astronauts to the moon. In tandem with Starship development, all of our operational human spaceflight missions are helping us prepare for those future trips to the moon.
All right, they're talking about a little bit of like marketing fluff there from previous things. So I'll talk a little bit. We've got 12 minutes to go. So Jeebus says that Cece's wife is there too toward the end when the human factor and personal tragedies are considered. Yeah, that's a sad one. And let's see what Meraki says. The best part is the last hour and a half. All right, well, I think the what I've watched is so far fantastic. So he really put in the effort to get the ridiculous responses. The one that stuck out to me was when I was talking with, I think, Tyler, and another time was a couple other guys where they're like, if the Earth is a globe, you should not see this. And I'm asking them, oh, well, what analysis did you do? And they've never done analysis. That's the thing that really is the enlightening. A few of them do, but for the most part, flat earthers don't do analysis at all. So how do they know whether or not some particular observation matches the globe or not? They don't know. Where, here's a photograph. Where was it taken? They don't know. How high was the observer? They don't know. What was the distant object that they were looking at? They don't know. What's the actual globe analysis for it? Well, they do the wrong math. So, and of course they have to do the wrong math because they don't have the right data to input into it. So just yesterday on Facebook, somebody posted a meme. I've seen the meme before. It's that lake in Russia. It's 300 some miles long. They're like, well, there should be 49 miles of curvature across the lake. And look at this picture. And the picture is not across the lake. It's across the entire length of the lake. It's across a short section of the lake. You can't actually take a picture across the entire lake because it's a banana-shaped lake. Sorry. It's long and narrow, and it's got different features that peninsulas that stick into it. So the longest you can do is, a portion of it. But this guy's like, well, there should be 49 miles of missing curvature, which isn't curvature. Linear units are not curvature. And look at the picture. I'm like, that picture doesn't mean anything. You didn't analyze. You're looking the short distance across the lake. And he has no answers for it, right? And so they always change the topic. So they're not woke. They're stupid, or gullible, or lying. So I think generally the ones on, parroting memes, I think they're stupid. The ones leading, the ones making the memes, they're stupid or lying. The ones that are at the head of it, I don't know. Some people have told me I should not call them stupid. Well, if they're not stupid, then what are they? They have to be lying. Well, fine, okay. Did I like the Veritas cult recruitment song? I don't think I've gotten to that one yet. So, anyway, let's see. We've got nine minutes left. So,
We are not recovering the booster.
Not sure. Let's get a little audio there. Okay. So I don't know what that was there. Is that what is that? Is that the tank getting full? And this is an animation here.
On the tower will help guide the booster into position to ensure a precision landing.
This is crazy.
And our
to
goal
catch it
for
with
the
those,
near
chopstick
future
arms.
is to have 4 launch towers, 2 in Cape Canaveral in Florida, and they will look very similar to the ones that you see here in this animation.
How you doing,
As we
Henry?
know, we find that our renderings tend to end up looking really similar to real life. So while this is a rendering, we do know we can look forward to this in the future. Like I said, we're going to have 2 at Cape Canaveral in Florida and 2 located at Starbase. Starbase will
So, yeah, if you didn't see Will Duffy on Jaren last night, that was pretty good. It was pretty good. Jaren made some very bold claims. Good for him. Flat earthers tend to avoid making bold claims, and the reason why is because they know that they don't want to make testable claims. Why don't they want to make testable claims? Well, because then they can be shown to be wrong. And they don't want that. They don't want their position tested. So for Jaren to say that if you're in Antarctica and you see the sun go around, or he says go behind you, right? If you're facing north, it'll be behind you. Then that's a problem for flat earth. That's definitely contradictory to flat earth. And he says that, and other flat earthers have gotten upset at him. They're like, oh, no. But he's very honest in this one particular thing. He said that flat earthers have said that the sun doesn't set in Antarctica not because they have evidence of it, but because it's important, but because it contradicts flat earth. So they started with the necessary conclusion for flat earth. It can't work for flat earth. And then they just made the claim from that and refused to accept anything that contradicts it. None of them have been there to say sun doesn't set, right? None of them have any reason to think that the sun doesn't set. They just know that it doesn't work for flat earth. So, all right, I have to adjust the scene a little bit because it's not showing all of it. Okay, here we go. You'll see that in a second when I bring it back up. Yep, right. I don't want anything clipped off. So anyway, it was really good of Jaren to say that. So good for Jaren to say that. I'm excited for that, and his facing it. What he doesn't think is the case, he's facing it head on. So I can't fault him for that. Will others have the same honesty? Well, so far others have already been backtracking. other flat earthers that have boldly said that if the sun does what the globe says in Antarctica, it's a problem for flat earth, or it disproves flat earth or falsifies flat earth. They're already changing their story as a dishonest person would. Taboo Conspiracy, changing his story. Dean Odell, will he change his story? Certainly he will. So anyway, let's get back to the exciting part here of this launch happening, and not about the, this liberates flirteers right here. Flat earthers, I mean, you can play ostrich, but this is happening. So Pack says, look at this fake CGI BS, can't get past the dome. Thanks, Pack. Then Peter Collins says, hi, Mike, and hello, everyone, and a thumbs up. Followed by Steve Revel says, I'm so hoping it's going the whole trip this time. I am too. This hopefully will be something really cool. And does all of the things that they're hoping. That's a pretty cool view. Look at all that drone footage there. And you got all of that low-lying condensation down there. So there's liquid oxygen and liquid methane that comes out, and they plus it's super cold. So if there's any moisture at all, it can condense it in the air. That's why you see it. It's venting something. I should get the audio going myself. So Burnham says the spinal experiment is going as planned. Well, yeah. It shows if they have a spine. It doesn't it? So, all right. Let's get.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just as a reminder for the booster, now we are not attempting to recover any hardware today, both either on ship or booster. For the booster, we will be attempting to perform a landing burn to have a soft splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico. We made some improvements from our Flight 3 learnings, so hopefully that will work and we'll see a successful soft splashdown. For the ship, we're hoping to demonstrate controlled re-entry, including a flip maneuver and landing burn, and that will be followed by splashdown in the Indian Ocean. That is the same target as we had on Flight 3, so everything should look pretty similar in that regard. And we just heard the call out there that all prop load is closed out. So at this point, there is like 10 million pounds of propellant on board Starship, which is incredible.
This is getting very exciting. We are just about 2 minutes away.
So it's all that fuel is in there. And then the pole. So far, the pole is 60% saying Rudd. Man. 60% think it's going to go boom. All right.
Have closed.
We'll see.
Right now we're doing the pushback, so clearing out all those ground lines of propellant, and that'll be...
Oh, all right. Remember, tonight, I have an early morning and a late night, so will I get a nap in between? I don't think so. But tonight, starting at 10 p.m. Central Time, I will be reviewing the debate, sort of debate that Dearth had on Alex Jones, and Eddie Bravo was there too. So I'll be reviewing that tonight, starting at 10 p.m. for and I might be premiering something very special there. We'll see. RUD stands for Rapid Unscheduled Disassembly. An explosion.
The TVC, the thrust vector control, how we're going to steer.
55 seconds.
And then we see liftoff. So we're under a minute away.
So much haze. Look at that.
45 seconds and counting.
Good event, game met.
All right, now as we close in, we are past the 40-second mark.
How am I 20 seconds ahead of everybody?
Let's listen in.
Flight Director
Ty Huntington's going to take us through one more time for a Starship liftoff.
All right. 20 seconds. I have my my delay set to the minimum.
2 minutes 15. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Goes. There's some digital noise going in there. All right,
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Wow, it's so intense. Amazing to get such a good video from the ship there. I mean, they do it all the time now, but it's still crazy.
All right,
Oh,
30
one
seconds
engine.
into flight,
One engine's
the
off.
rumbles are still building here in the Raptor's nest. We're seeing 32
Acquisition
out of
signal,
33
corpus
engines lit on the Super Heavy right now. Coming up shortly is going to be max
Starship,
Q, that
avionics,
maximum
power,
aerodynamic pressure as we go uphill on the vehicle.
What do they do? What do you do when one
Back
engine's
Q.
out?
All right, we just passed through max Q, so we're going to continue on up. We still have about
Vehicle is
a
supersonic.
minute and 30 seconds until we get to stage separation. Starship now flying faster than the speed of sound. All right, so you got a couple of views. You got some ground trackers in your top camera there. You're looking down from the top of the booster in the bottom left, and then a camera in the top flap of the ship looking back in the bottom right. So getting a couple of different looks as Starship heads uphill. Once we get the hot staging, a lot of things happen all at once simultaneously. We're going to light the engines on the ship, starting with the RVACs first, and then the 3 center sea level engines before we're separated. All of that exhaust gets plumed out the side of the hot stage, and then the ship will separate itself. All but the 3 center engines on the booster are going to shut down, so the booster never stops its thrust while we go through this hot stage maneuver. After that, the booster is going to do its flip, start heading back, and then the ship will be on its own power on its way to space. So that should be coming up in just about 30 seconds from now. As of right now, still looking in like 32 out of 33 Raptors lit on the booster. And we'll start to see those stagger down. They're going to turn off in banks, so you'll see the lights on the bottom left screen of the engines that are active start to turn off in different groups, and you'll see those 3 center ones lit.
Well, the
Booster engine cut off.
fins are going. Oh, there it goes. 70 kilometers.
Ship ignition.
Oh, that's cool.
Stage separation confirmed.
Boost back burn, start up.
Acquisition signal, Houston.
Hot
is.
stage confirmed. Ship under its own power. Booster boosting back. Looks like all 13 are lit. Kate, we got a booster on the way back to the Gulf and a ship on the way to space.
Acquisition signal, Stennis.
That's pretty cool. That is that's awesome.
Ship chamber pressures are
So
nominal.
it's doing the boost back. That's why it's got the
Ship power
the
intometry.
bottom left.
All right, the first stage currently performing the boost back burn. This is expected to last a little over 1 minute. This propels the booster back toward the coast, taking it to a landing in the waters of the Gulf of Mexico. As you can see on your screen in the bottom left-hand corner, we were only using the 13 center engines
just 3.
from here on.
Boost back burn, shut down.
Off.
Heard confirmation there of good boost back burn shutdown.
Stage 2 tank pressures are nominal.
So look at the altitude.
Lots of excitement. So right here,
That's cool.
this is our view of the jettisoned hot stage. As we
I don't know what
mentioned, this
that-
is a temporary fix to help
something
reduce
obstructing
the
the
weight
camera
of
view there?
the booster. We have the Super Heavy booster. Future iterations will have a lighter weight integrated hot stage structure that won't need to be jettisoned. Now, after we jettison that hot stage, the booster will begin to attempt its water landing.
It's above the Kármán line right now. See that?
coast for about 40 minutes or so, up to an altitude of 214 kilometers. And after its coast phase, it will attempt a controlled re-entry, including a flip maneuver and a landing burn, just before splashing down in the Indian Ocean. But as a reminder, we are not
Starship
attempting.
trajectory nominal.
Good news there. Trajectory is looking good for the ship, which is on the right-hand side of your screen.
So let me say the curve that you see, be a little bit cautious there because these lenses are not strong rectilinear lenses. I know that they've got better lenses than standard GoPro lenses. So what you want to see is you want to see the horizon on the other side of the center of the screen. So if it's curved this, hold on, let me. If it's curved this way above the center screen, you want to see it the other side of the center frame, also curved the same direction. That would tell you for sure whether or not you're seeing curve, or if the lens is adding something.
Today, and you can hear the crowd is very excited about it. As a reminder for Booster, the primary goal today is to do a landing burn and a splashdown in the water.
Oh, it's coming down fast
and we
now.
are just about 30 seconds away from that landing burn.
Speeding up how fast it's coming down.
4,000
kilometers an hour.
Incredible view from the forward portion of the booster. This is basically on top of the super heavy booster, where we have jettisoned that hot stage. So now we can see this incredible view of Earth as it's making its way back down to the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, the booster is using the 4 hypersonic grid fins to guide itself through atmospheric re-entry.
4,500 kilometers per hour at 20
and we
kilometers
are
high.
expecting that landing burn here.
That's crazy. 10 kilometers. All right. I don't know how high it turns on the
We will be
engines.
igniting 13 engines, and this is a great view. On your left-hand side is a view.
When's it start?
3 views from the booster, and your right-hand side a view from the ship.
It's
and you
low.
can see those grid fins on
They're
your
not
left-hand
starting.
screen rotating and
there they go.
turning to
Okay.
guide the booster, and there's that
And one didn't make it.
landing
Okay, okay. Oh,
burn. That landing
it didn't
burn just
blow.
begun, and you can see the water
Oh, that's
below.
cool. That's so cool. Nailed it.
And
Nailed
we
it.
have
Nailed it. Turns it off and it's gonna fall into the water. Oh my gosh.
What
Oh, that's
an
crazy. That's so
incredible
cool.
sight. Congratulations to the SpaceX team.
Wow.
Ship has entered terminal guidance.
That was absolutely incredible.
That was crazy.
The
Signal,
first
signal.
successful
It worked.
splashdown of the
And the
super heavy
camera view.
booster.
Amazing.
Love seeing it just tip over
Wow.
into the water
Wow.
before losing that footage. Now the next milestone is coming up in about under a
Acquisition
minute.
signal, Key West.
Ship is going to shut off its Raptor engines,
Ship engine cut off.
which we see right there.
I was nervous. I'm like, it's 1 kilometer, it's 2 kilometers, whatever.
As we
Is it
mentioned
gonna go?
before, today's test flight
Right, now,
is
so-
not an orbital flight, but rather one
So look
that
at how much
demonstrates
curve you see there.
the
It's
Starship's
different than when
orbital
it's on the edge.
capability.
There's a little barrel distortion on these lenses. So
So right now we are under power
if
with
the horizon
just the
was
3
farther
center Raptor
that
engines.
direction and curved, then you
Expecting
can
those,
say that's the
and
curve of the
just
horizon.
there we could see that those have
So,
also
all right.
successfully cut
Engines
off.
turned off. And
Ship FDS is saved.
What an
Nominal
incredible!
orbit insertion.
Oh, there's great news there. The call out we were hoping to hear.
153
Amazing views
kilometers
once
high.
again from Starship. We have our second Starship in space. These live views being brought to us by Starlink, which is on board the ship. Dan, what an incredible view we have once again. So exciting. We got another ship in space.
I'm like still jumping up and down.
Expected loss signal.
This
Status.
whole building was going absolutely insane when we saw the booster hit the water. I mean,
Okay, there. That's a
wow.
good one.
Congrats.
That's
to
below the center
everybody
frame.
that's just been putting in insane
This
amounts
view
of
looks
hours on
pretty good
everything
for
to
showing
make this
curve.
thing a reality. and I feel like every single time we do one of these, we're seeing something wildly new. We got to see the hot stage jettison.
So and it's at 160 kilometers. That's
just to
there's
recap
a
real
more
quick
curve
over
there. You
everything
should be
that's
able to
happened.
see it.
So we lifted off
Hopefully,
at 7:50 a.m. only 9 minutes ago. How has it only been 9 minutes? 7:50 a.m. Central at 12:50 UTC. We saw 32 of the 33 Raptor engines on Super Heavy make the ascent. We had successful cutoff, successful hot staging. All 6 engines on the ship powered it all the way into a nominal orbital trajectory. And we've already been getting some live views from the ship on board. After that, the booster was able to do its boost back burn. Oh, this looks like we're actually getting some views from the ground still, potentially from Florida, of the ship as it's up there. Yeah, so
164 kilometers up and a view from the ground.
On the ground in Florida. But the ship, we just heard successful orbital insertion, so it's right where it needs to be, and is now going to continue on its way to coast until it comes to reentry. But I mean, the booster, successful boost back burn, jettison the hot stage, and then a landing burn. It looked like we saw 12 of the 13 engines.
Lake Titicaca Frog says, now the Vulcans will arrive, hopefully. This isn't warp drive yet. We need to get warp drive first. Left-handed Jedi says it's sad you have to point out the curve. It is sad. It is sad. I mean, this isn't the only picture or video of the curve at high elevation. There's many of them. So it is too high to have much drag from the air. And if you see Thomas, where'd he go? I think Thomas Morgan. Are you? I think we met in Colorado, right? He said earlier he was. Oh, hold on a second.
We're going to take a break while the ship is continuing to coast before re-entry.
Exactly. As with Flight 3, Starlink may enable us to talk with the ship through re-entry with no communication blackout. We are still testing Starlink during this phase of flight, so of course nothing is certain. However, if we do have views, we will be sure to bring those to you live. Views such as the one, that we had. Well, of course, because I said it, it went away. So we will try to bring those to you live.
Exactly. Views or no views, we'll see you back here at T plus 40 minutes for coverage of Starship's re-entry, flip maneuver, landing burn, and splashdown.
All right. So I won't play their background music while we're doing that. So Thomas Morgan, I think are you the one that I met in Colorado? So one of Joe Hill's friends came to support Joe. That was nice at the debate we had in Colorado at Will Duffy's church. And I saw that Tom had said earlier that he was sad that so many people are fans of darkness. Well, Tom, this is a real rocket that really launched, and it's currently in space. So the darkness would be denying that this actually happened. That's darkness, Tom. So Dr. Jim the geologist says I would check out the NOAA Goes East satellite images as they update. Starship's 3 condensation trail, its shadow, and the rocket rud were captured last time. Oh, that's cool. Henry Thrun says space is dark. Well, yeah, space is dark, I guess, if you want to go that way. But you could also look at it this way. Most of the time when you're in space, you're not in the shadow of the Earth. So you don't get darkness for 12 or so out of every 24 hours, varying based on where you are on the globe. So in that sense, space is always bright, at least when you're inside of our solar system in the vicinity of Earth or closer to the sun. It's always bright. It's so bright, it's actually a problem at times. So I don't know. I don't know why you'd say it's dark. Right? I'd say it's light. Let's go with that. Glenn Hughes says for £5, Shout out to all the globe debunkers out there, no doubt watching, eagle-eyed, searching desperately for something to misunderstand or fabricate. Yes, they'll come over this with a fine-tooth comb, and they'll find the one thing that they think is the crack. It won't be. It will be something they don't understand well. Typically what it is. Man of War says, did you know space had a smell? I only learned it today. I've heard that. I've heard that I don't know if it's that space has a smell. I think it's more about when you have things in in space, specifically like on the moon, when the astronauts got back into the LEM after they had been outside. They went back inside and then it got pressurized again. But they brought with them the dust that had accumulated on their suits and stuff, and then that was in the air, and it's very, very small particles. So then they were then breathing that in and tasting it. So I think that's a lot of it. I think also then there's outgassing of the different materials inside that cabin while there was no or very low pressure. So that would then also potentially cause some things to be, in the air that you can breathe in. So I think that if you somehow could go to, away from where you get extra material and have a capsule where there's nothing that's going to outcast, and then open it up to space and then repressurize it, I don't suspect you would smell anything other than just the things that you brought with you. But yes, they do say space has a smell. And then same thing, I think, with the ISS. I've heard that it stinks on the ISS, that it's an awful smell on the ISS. You think about it. You've had people living in there for 20 some years, and there's no like on the Earth. If you make a smell, if you're standing outside and you make a smell, the wind will blow it away and be replaced by new air. But you don't have that opportunity on the ISS. So the air does get replaced over time because it's constantly repressurizing it, and there's small amounts that leak out. But then it goes through filters. But the filters aren't perfect. They're gonna miss some things. But apparently, after you've been on there a little bit, you become accustomed to it. You don't smell it anymore. And sometimes you can experience that for yourself. You might be somewhere that has a stink to it, and then you leave, but you didn't know, right? And you leave and you come back and you're like, oh, this smells bad here. There you go. And a good example is if you're ever painting a room, right? You go in the room, you're painting, and close the door or whatever because you don't want that smell to get to the rest of the house. And then you leave and you come back, you're like, oh, it smells like paint in here. But while you were in there painting, you don't smell it. So let's see what this article here. I'm not going to bring it up on screen because I have this. This is a full screen thing from Twitter or X, and they had a small window, or they had like full screen. So I made this full screen. I don't normally do full screen stuff, so that's full screen. So I'm not gonna mess with that right now. It's a little weird to change it, and I don't want to mess it up when I need to come back. So anyway, this is the article that Liquid Flame said galaxy's center tastes of raspberries and smells of rum, says astronomers. Okay. The hunt for chemicals in deep space that could seed life on other planets has yielded a large fruity molecule. Astronomers searching for the building blocks of life in a giant dust cloud at the heart of the Milky Way have concluded it would taste vaguely of raspberries. So so without reading it all right now, here's what my guess is. My guess is that they've identified molecules that have they're complex enough that they might have a smell to them. That's similar to raspberries. And I don't. So would there be enough of that? Say you were there. Say you were where this dust cloud is that has this particular things that would, if you had enough of them, you'd smell. Is there enough of them in that area? Because these are huge areas that they're looking at. This isn't the size of a planet. This is the size of a solar system. About, I don't know. I'm not going to give raw numbers or solid numbers, but it's a big area. So if you were actually there, would you get enough of those particles, or are they so spread out but so large that when we look at them, we can see, oh, well, here it looks like that, but it's not really that dense. So Liquid Flame says they just found some molecules. It's probably stretching the science a bit. Yeah, I'm with you there. I think that's correct. So, all right. So yeah, all right. That soft landing, that was crazy. I hope they get better video of it, because it was a little choppy at the end there, and I don't know if it was just the live feed and they may have an opportunity to have better video or not. But it did land softly, and will they be going to actually recover it since it didn't break up into a lot of small parts? It's a tank. The tank is filled with mostly nothing now, so it should be buoyant enough to be floating. So will it float? Well, certainly if it floats, they're not going to leave it there for somebody else to just go find, right? They don't want it to wash up on the shore at Biloxi Bay, and somebody's like, oh, hey, you guys, you left your rocket here. Can you come get it? So my guess is they've done this before. They'll go get it and do something with it. I don't know. Yeah, they towed the last one in, says expendability. So if they do tow it in, then potentially the video that it was broadcasting, it was potentially, I don't know, I would do this. I would also record it locally, so you could get a non-transmission version of it. That would be really cool. So it, oh man, that was crazy. Just seeing the water there when it came down. Yeah, that's some serious scrap value. Yeah, that's a lot of stainless steel. So yeah, you wouldn't want that to just go nowhere if it's there. So I mean, they could probably, somebody would probably gladly pay for the to get it out of the water and then scrap it. You probably could make some money. That stainless steel has a good recycle value. So West Side Girl reacts, says the wordle today was ether. Illuminati confirmed. Nice. Well, typically when I spell it, and a lot of the time when other people spell it, the ether, the luminiferous ether, is spelled with an A at the beginning, AETHER, which some people pronounced aether. I like that pronunciation because it differentiates it from the other word ether that just has an E that really does exist, and it's in liquid form typically, and you use it to clean parts in your engine, right? It'll dissolve oil residue and stuff, or it's in starting fluid. If you're having trouble starting a vehicle or your lawnmower in the spring, you spray a little ether into the intake and it'll help it start quicker. So all right, let's see. There's a couple other super chats here I want to get to. So you're here, Man of War for is that that's not MK Ultra, is it? For 30 shekels, says Veritas video at 1 hour, 44 minutes, 43 seconds. The section, please disregard this section, is constructed amazingly and shows how easily cult recruitment is. It really reminds me of the movie Wave from 1981. Now, I'm going to have to watch that. I don't know what that movie is. Man of War, could you or somebody send me, not in here because I'll miss it, some reference to that movie. So I'll watch that. It sounds interesting. But yeah, I did watch that section, and yeah, it's definitely, I don't think flat earthers are going to like it because it's saying like Are you lonely? Do you feel like you've been a failure in life? Well, join us with the secret knowledge. Something to that effect. Yeah, they won't like that part, but you know, the psychology of it, I've gone over before. I think that generally a lot of flat earthers have been, they got to where they are. Not all of them, but they got to falling for flat earth because of several prerequisites. They don't have a good solid understanding of science. They don't actually do their own research. They're willing to, and part of that, they're willing to just watch a video of somebody telling them what to think, and then they think they did their own research. That's seriously, that's what it's the opposite of its opposite world. They're like, oh, every globers are indoctrinated, but they'll just go watch a flat earthers video and just buy it all, and they won't go investigate it. Like all the memes, so many memes. The people reposting memes never looked into the meme to see if the information in there is correct. They'll just post it. It's not correct. You go debunk it, and tomorrow somebody's going to post the same thing. And the insidious part of it is that the people that they're targeting are the ones that won't have seen the responses to it before and won't do any investigation themselves. So they'll see the meme, they'll think, oh no, that makes sense. And then they'll buy it eventually and be fooled by it, because however they're doing it, I don't think it's intentional, but they're targeting their target market very well. So Man of War says, I'm not MK Ultra, but I hear he's a cool dude. Okay. Yes, I now remember you have been in the live chat with MK Ultra. So you're both in the same part of the country. All right, let's see here. No, this is good from Haiku. It says, are you a loser? Are you a 40-year-old virgin living in your mom's basement? Join the Flat Earth movement. I mean, it's a bit harsh, but there is some truth to it. You can't deny that. So let's see. Expandability says, did you see the video from Smarter Every Day where they did a non-composite time-lapse photo of the full eclipse? It was pretty cool how they did it. I have seen almost all of that video, and then I got off to something else. So yeah, I think that's I'll look into that one and see if he has any higher resolution scans of the photo, because it was an analog photo and they took multi-frames of it. So and it got a satellite, so it's pretty cool. Okay, Man of War says, no, I live closer to Tel Aviv, but it's a small country. So yeah, well, I mean, I live in Minnesota, and you tell me, how big is Minnesota compared to, well, I'll do it. How big is Minnesota compared to Israel in size? So I'll go like Duluth to Minneapolis. Let's see what we got. Duluth straight line to Minneapolis, 135 miles. And then I'm not showing you again for the same reason. I don't want to mess up. My view here. So all right. So I'll go from Gaza Strip. Well, all right. No, I'll do this. I'll go the extreme, all the way down to the Gulf of Arabia. All right, that's gonna make it longer. That's for sure. To the extreme northern end is 262 miles or 423 kilometers. So 260 miles. I'll do it in freedom units here. 263 miles is north to south extreme of Israel. And Minnesota, we've got 411 miles. So Minnesota's a good deal bigger. 260. If you don't do like to the very edge of Minnesota, because Lake of the Woods sticks out north of the there's a straight line across from Washington all the way. Well, not a straight line. It's a line of latitude, which is curved. Globe or flat, it's curved. And then Lake of the Woods sticks out north of there. So Yeah, so Minnesota's taller than Israel. So yeah, you can go see them. It's more, there's more about traffic, right? Once you get outside of the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, traffic goes pretty quick most of the time. So you can travel at high speed. So, but Israel is much more densely populated, I think. So there you go. Back to Minnesota, where you can watch your dog run away for 3 days. Yes. BV, Minnesota. That's right. When I travel and people ask where are you from, I don't say it. I say Minneapolis area. Because everybody knows, because the next question is then what part of Minnesota? So I answer both preemptively. I say Minneapolis area. And then also I don't want to say it like a Minnesotan. Or sometimes I'll specifically pronounce things a little bit differently so it's not so apparent that I've got that, non-accent, that little bit of a non-accent. So, but I don't like hitting the T's. We don't hit the T's very hard when we say words, like those things that you put on your hands in the winter that don't have fingers, right? Type in the chat how you pronounce those things, right? Starts with an M, has 2 T's in the middle. How do you pronounce them? And how do you think I pronounce it? Facty spelled it right. Vallejo spelled it with 2 D's in the middle. Yeah, nope. Nobody's got the pronunciation right. There we go. Rib Tickler. Rib Tickler got the pronunciation. There's 2 T's in the middle. But I don't know where people start finding those T's, but we don't pronounce those T's. We say mitten. Seriously. No T. You hear that? Mitten. That's it. So there, yeah. Rick Two Bits says it. So I've known people that pronounce the double T in the middle like that pretty hard, and it sounds a little weird to me when I hear it, especially if they live here. So they'll say mitten, like, oh, that sounds weird to my ears. So anyway, MC un? No. If there's a consonant sound before the T, you'll tend to say that more. But since in mitten there's an I sound followed by an E sound, then they tend to get completely removed. But don't worry, there is the conservation of consonants. For example, for everybody in Wisconsin doing their warsh with that extra R, there's somebody in Boston driving a ka, no R. See, the R moved from Boston to Wisconsin, and it showed up there in their word for warsh. So when I say mitten and those 2 T's got lost somewhere, somebody else somewhere is saying it too hard when they don't need to say it too hard, or they're putting a T in when it shouldn't be there. You see, everything just evens out when it comes to pronunciation, I think, right? Think about it. In France, there's a whole lot of letters at the end of words that are just like, wait a second, what am I here for? They're like, oh, I can't be bothered to say those last consonant sounds. They're way off at the end of the word. I'll just skip them. So, all right. So what's the thing on the top of the house? That's the roof. That's the roof. R-U-F-F instead of R-O-O-F. Oh yeah. The Brits say a bottle of water. I can't say it right. So, all right. So anyway, thank you for that, Man of War. On to Cretan Bull says, it's actually sad that Flurfs can't enjoy this. Yeah, it's what do they enjoy? I don't know. It's a sad world because they have to be angry at everything. Because everywhere you go, there's stuff that destroys flat Earth. Every day the sun sets and disproves flat Earth, and they're like, no, it just went away from our perspective. It doesn't, mate. It doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's not how things work. Going away from your perspective is word salad. Things don't go away from your perspective. All right. I've run out of coffee. Now you see, I did not add the W sound in there like they do in Boston. So Boston is borrowing a W from somewhere else when they say coffee, right? Yeah, ope. Ope is definitely a Midwest thing. And I've realized I say it sometimes. I don't know how often I say it because it's subconscious, but I've caught myself saying it. I'm like, why am I saying that? What's that in there for? Anyway, all right. Stephen Jarvis says, I can hear the Flurf's teeth grinding and grating. Yes. If here's their failed logic. You know, they have to say this is all fake. Somehow, somewhere, some level, they have to say it's fake, right? They can't accept that a rocket is currently at some elevation flying around, unless they have this weird modified version of that they're trying, that some are going toward, where they're like, well, orbits work. No, they don't work. You just say they work, but they don't. There's no mechanism for what. Why do things stay up there? You don't have a reason for it. And of course, why would they over flat Earth? As Dave McKeegan has shown in a video, they do this spirograph pattern. Why over flat Earth would it do that spirograph pattern? That would take an enormous amount of fuel, or something would have to make it. Some force would have to be imparted on it, on things that do the spirograph orbit, to make it do the spirograph orbit. What is it? We don't know. They don't know. It's just blind faith that something is causing it. So it's one or the other. They just say all of it has to be faked, or there's something that allows them to do that, but they don't know why or how. They can't provide anything. So, is it still flying? It is still flying, Henry. It is. You're not allowed to step away, Henry. What's up? What's going on? We are at 37 minutes into the flight. So it's doing a coast right now. So the coast, oh, it's coming. I just said, oh, I almost said, oh, hold on. It just came back. So let's get this view here. So there it is. Now that amount of curve, let's talk about that. That's not centered in the middle. I don't know what's going on with that view right there. Is that just the orientation? It's at 165 kilometers high. So at 165 kilometers, you get a good amount of curve, but that does seem, I don't think this is a rectilinear lens. So, and now look at that down in front of the flap there. There's a chunk of something. I'm guessing it's some condensation, some ice. So, all right, let's finish up here. We've got Glenn Hughes to shout out to the Globe debunkers who are searching for something to misunderstand. Dave McKeegan says, space is bright. Now we know why flurfs hate it. Yeah, good luck in space, not next to the Earth, finding yourself, I mean, not orbiting the Earth, but in the vicinity. Good luck finding shade, right? It's super bright there. 158 kilometers. So yeah, is it descending? It's at 26,400 kilometers per hour, and its altitude 157. Yeah, so it's going down. So the ISS is about 440 kilometers. Is that right? And it goes about 27,000 kilometers per hour. I'm just going off the top of my head here. And that's enough to keep orbit. But when you're closer in, you need to move at a different rate. I think you have to move faster. I know you have to move faster in order to keep your centrifugal acceleration equal to the centripetal acceleration. So yeah, that's not enough to maintain orbit, even though it did get that fast enough. Do we know where it is? We don't. There isn't enough detail in that view there to really see. So I don't know if that is the camera, if it's a resolution issue. I mean, it looks like there's maybe just a little bit of cloud detail. So maybe it's over the ocean It's intended to be landing in the Indian Ocean, I think is so what they said. So we'll see. So Gowden says, what timestamp launch starts at this stream? So it started in my stream. It was about 10 minutes in when it launched, if you need to scrub back to watch it. So, all right. No, they're not talking yet. So, all right. Man, it's pretty cool. Yeah, and it's losing altitude. So at some point it'll get down to the air and start getting a little drag right around 100 kilometers. So, all right. Glenn Hughes says space smells of flurf tears. It does. All right, let's see. Dr. Jim the geologist says the GOES satellite images showed the condensation trails in just the standard imaging wavelength, but the new lighting mapper highlighted the RUD. That's from the previous one of the previous launches. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So definitely a good thing to go view, to go look at that. And Stu Pedasso says, good morning from Huntington Beach. It's 6:30 in the morning, dude. Go back to sleep. Did you have to get up at 6:30 in the morning? Man, that's early. It's way too early. So, all right. Man, with the view that I have to be a little different. Okay. Now here, yeah, see, look at this. Now that the horizon is on the other side of the center of the frame, you can see it's got a different curve. So anyway, I think they're all right. They're talking about, this is just an animation here, of course. Oh no, they're not doing anything. I'll keep the earbuds in, so if there's anything to see or to hear, that I can do it. So it's 1:30 a.m. in Christchurch, New Zealand, says Chuck chases the facts. Okay. All right, so there is. This is why you need to be cautious with videos and photos, to say, oh, look at that curve, because this is definitely a lens that's adding distortion, because the curve is different above and below the center of frame. So it doesn't mean that you can't use it. It's just not as good. And what you want to do is you want to find the point where the horizon is right at the center of frame. So horizontally and vertically centered. It minimizes distortion. And there's a section where, both vertically and horizontally, where there's no distortion. So if the horizon curves on all of it below the center of frame, when the center of the horizon is that center frame, well, then we know that it's not just distortion. So, all right. Sounds like they might be, yeah, they're talking. So, Nazarelite says, let's not forget, this is important. This is, today is also the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Pretty historic day all around. It is. Yeah. Amazing stories about D-Day. If you've seen, Saving Private Ryan just shows how intense it was, how horrible it is, and the sacrifices that people made. It was very sad. All right. Well, so think about that. So, all right.
It's like
here we
pointing
have,
at a raging river
in
one spot and saying, tell me exactly what's happening right there. And like that's what a ship is experiencing as it goes through, as it's moving through the atmosphere at more than 5 miles a second and heating up to thousands of degrees. So
video.
Just having visual representation, just being able to see what's happening is incredibly valuable. So these
is a
views
good
are going to
brother.
be
Good
through Starlink. We've
brother.
got this one. This is
The
in
next
one of the
comment
forward
is
flaps
about Band
looking
of
back.
Brothers.
So if you see
It's
it
an amazing
rotating
movie.
around,
They
that's
did,
because, again, it's embedded
they
in one of
dealt
those
with a
forward
lot of the
flaps.
issues.
So as we get through
Acquisition signal.
and we start to
Mauritius.
build up density in the atmosphere, those
Sorry to overtalk. I try to not talk while the volume's up, so you can't quite hear me or them at the same time. You can't make it out. So anyway, they're getting down close to 100 kilometers, so we should see some interesting stuff soon. I'll bring their audio back.
all the different areas, and then also eventually to be able to see payloads once they're deployed. So a lot more exciting stuff coming up in the future. But right now we're getting closer to re-entry. Again, we're going to be moving at hypersonic speeds at more than 5 times the speed of sound. We're going to see that plasma start
26,000 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, as you can see with that view on your screen, again, high def brought to us by Starlink. We can see the plasma beginning to build as the ship is getting closer to the Earth's atmosphere. Now, let's talk a little bit about how Starship will survive re-entry, hopefully, and control itself.
Exactly. We've been talking about this entire flight test. There's 18,000 hexagonal ceramic tiles surrounding the bottom portion or the Earth-facing side of the ship.
Through 100 kilometers altitude, good altitude for entry.
There it is.
Great call outs there. Now, during atmospheric reentry, the vehicle is going to see temperatures as high as 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit or over 1,400 degrees Celsius. So those tiles are there to help protect the vehicle from this extreme heat.
Yeah, and the flaps will help control it. Now, one noticeable difference I see immediately, those flaps are not moving as much as they were on Flight 3. So that is a great sign, right? We had unplanned loss of roll control on Flight 3, so we added some additional thrusters, and we can see that they're working well, and we have a much more stable view. So those flaps, there's 4 of them, 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. They're made out of stainless steel. And they help steer the ship, which, as we can see, the plasma continuing to build. Now, if the ship survives re-entry, it will have to perform a flip maneuver as well as a landing burn. We saw this demonstrated in a couple of high-altitude flight tests back in like 2020, 2021. Similarly,
Temperatures increasing on the nose within expected ranges.
Great news there. It sounds like the temperatures that we are getting during this point, which again, we usually don't get during spaceflight because of this plasma. We're getting this live. This is a great news.
So the camera view is changing because I think it's on a flap and that flap is moving.
A couple years ago, we're hoping to duplicate that again today. Hopefully we will see it live. And basically the 3 center engines of the ship will reignite and gimbal or point to help flip the ship until those engines are pointing down so that it can land vertically using Raptor's thrust.
And as you can see, even from the beginning of the program, we've designed Starship to land on Mars where there are no runways or other humans to help out. We also want rapid reusability, so we're doing...
The vehicle is passing through 85 kilometers altitude. The flaps have control of the vehicle.
It does sound
Great
like
news.
Tony.
Flaps have control of the vehicle. That's exactly what we want to hear for this flight test.
Yeah.
Again, we are going to be doing a propulsive landing instead of a more traditional means like parachutes. And we are expecting re-entry to begin here in just about a minute. Re-entry, an awesome view that we have here.
Starship remains on a good entry trajectory.
This is the same view that we had when we first returned from the coast phase. Again, this is looking at the side of one of the flaps. It's incredible that literally at the bottom of this picture, we're basically looking through plasma, which is just absolutely mind-blowing.
Wild, very wild. Now we are expecting entry to begin here in about 30 seconds or so. Entry to splashdown is expected to last about 6 minutes long.
Mauritius.
And that flip maneuver should occur around about 10 minutes before splashdown.
The speed is dropping faster now.
And such incredible views
Starship
that we're getting.
approaching peak heating region.
Great call outs there.
Thanks, PhD Tony.
Yeah, these views are absolutely astounding.
Nose temperatures continue to rise within expected region.
Did not go all the way around.
And in your bottom right-hand corner, you can also follow along with the altitude of ship as it's returning back to Earth.
Something hot there.
So once again, this view is basically looking down into the plasma blanket that is building up around the exterior of Starship.
That
It is
camera's
traveling, as you can see on
pocket.
your screen. You can look in the bottom right-hand corner and see how fast it's going, how high it is, as well as the general orientation. Again, we're seeing a lot more stability, a lot more control here on this flight, which is great. It shows that the iterations, the learnings...
Starship is now in expected peak heating region.
All right, great news there, telling us that this is basically the hottest point that Starship should get during its reentry. Now, the heat shield is working with the atmosphere for some free braking, okay? the atmosphere is helping to slow the Starship down.
Yeah, exactly. We're not using any engines or thrust to slow the vehicle down. Exactly what Kate mentioned. We're just using the atmosphere and those heat shield tiles protecting the vehicle as it's coming through that high heat temperature.
What is that?
Yeah. Now, this is another one of those moments that we have been waiting for. Right now, the ship is currently re-entering the Earth's atmosphere, and by all looks and all call-outs that we're hearing on the net, it is doing pretty well. Now, we do not plan to recover the spacecraft today, but rapid and reliable reusability is the ultimate goal.
That's cool. Look at that.
And just pausing to just take in this incredible new and different view that we're seeing. We did get a similar view in Flight 3, but again, the vehicle did lose a little bit of its control, attitude control, and this is a very stable view. This is great. This is exactly what we want, and we are hearing that we're getting expected call-outs.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Starship is seeing half a G of acceleration, remains on a good entry trajectory.
Thanks, Tony.
It's incredible to look at this photo and wonder, wait, is it real? Is it frozen? We can see so I was just going to say
Those temperatures have stopped increasing.
Oh, that is great news. The temperature is no longer building. But I was saying, we have a little bit of indication there. We can see that streaking that occurs and tells us that this is indeed a true view. So once again, we are looking basically through the plasma that is building up around the exterior of the ship.
And I still cannot get over that we are getting a live view of re-entry right now, live on your screen. It's not really Tony. Again, we've said this over and over, but all thanks to Starlink. We are able to use Starlink in space, which we're getting this incredible data. And not only just the data from the sensors, but getting live imagery of what is actually happening, which is great, which we've never been able to do
you can see it right there.
Live before. Right. Now, the
pressure without a container. On the leading edge, high pressure. On the back edge, low pressure. No container between them. We don't claim pressure without a container. We claim a pressure differential. There's nowhere that there's zero pressure.
The ship is going near the speed of sound. And then about a minute after that, we'll hear another call out saying entry subsonic, meaning that the ship is going below the speed of sound. So these are all continued indications that the atmosphere, right, as the ship comes back down, it is getting through the more dense part of the atmosphere, and that atmosphere is helping to push against the vehicle, and those heat shields are protecting the vehicle during this high heat period.
Yeah, Kate and Jesse, we're starting to see as the atmosphere gets denser, you're starting to see a few more particles make an appearance in the plasma there. You can see you're looking down at the aft end of the ship in the top left, and you're seeing essentially the flame build up as we go through reentry. You've been hearing the call-outs. They're tracking things like temperatures in the nose cone, and those were right where we modeled them to be, which is really cool to see and to see in real time. But we're coming up. We're at about 67 kilometers in altitude. Our last signal with the ship on Flight 3 was at 65, so we should be making it past that point shortly. Obviously, as you guys pointed out, we're in a much better control this time as we re-entered in the right attitude, and our flaps have been steering the way so far. Once we get through transonic, that's when you've got essentially
Raptor landing bird.
Different areas around the vehicle where the air is either moving faster or slower than the speed of sound. We'll eventually get to subsonic,
colorful.
which we have some experience with. We did in our suborbital campaign.
Start of rapid
And then
shield.
Starship will
landing grid.
eventually get down to its terminal velocity.
It's not losing
It's
altitude
floating
much.
down to the water. That's just about 200 miles an hour or so. We are hearing that we're starting to chill some of the engines, as we are, if we make it all the way down to the water, still going to attempt a landing burn, but still a ways to go. We're at about 64 kilometers in altitude right now. We made it through what's expected to be the peak heating, but now we're going to start encountering increased pressures as the atmosphere gets thicker and thicker.
It's basically, flying
So we're at
or
63
gliding.
kilometers, so we've already made it farther than we did on our last flight when that last signal was coming at 65
Bits of
kilometers.
stuff on fire.
So again, what we're really
Oh my
looking at
gosh.
here is the performance of the heat shield, of the flaps, of the seals in the flaps. There's just a whole bunch of different areas that we're keeping a really close eye on as we re-enter.
It looks like bits of ship are turning into burned stuff.
Starship remains on a good entry trajectory.
It's crazy.
It looks like we're still on a good trajectory. If you're seeing
All
little
that
camera
stuff.
moves, that's the flap moving as it continues to maintain the attitude of the
60
vehicle as it
kilometers.
re-enters.
Yeah, they fire up three engines.
And I mean, not just camera views, but we've got sensors inside the ship. We've got those sensors down at the very aft end of the vehicle where we pointed out we had some intentionally missing tiles, where we've got some sensors looking at just how hot it's getting around there. We intentionally put those in essentially the
This is
least critical part of the heat shield.
so much better
where
than last time.
If you had any kind of a breach, it wouldn't be great for reusability, but wouldn't be critical for actual making it through the reentry into the landing. "58 kilometers. We're
It's
continuing
really
to
not
descend.
falling very fast, but
Again,
the
right now
speed
we
is.
are over the Indian Ocean. We're actually getting closer and closer to that expected splashdown
it's
point,
scary.
which is
This
just
is
to
so
the,
intense.
off the northwest corner of Australia.
I wonder if you could see it from Australia. I wonder if anybody's set up there to try to catch a view of it. Yeah, this is going way better than last
Keep
time.
an eye on our speed. The speed is
So
dropping.
much better.
We're hitting the thicker part of the atmosphere now. The speed's going to start dropping precipitously. We're going to start getting to transonic
Yeah,
pretty
watch
soon.
that speed.
And then after that, we'll get into subsonic, where we're
down there.
moving
Watch
less
that
than
at
the
the
speed
bottom.
of sound. But wow, what a light show so far.
16,000. Something's on fire there in the flap. Uh-oh. That doesn't look
External
good.
temperatures are starting to come down.
Again,
It's a bit much. Do you see that there?
this
Like,
camera
it's
view
coming
is
through.
looking right at one of the forward flaps.
It's eating through the flap.
And we're strategically putting some cameras around the vehicle to just look at the,
That's not
the
good.
different areas.
Oh, no! Oh, the flap's coming
Looks like we
apart.
got the flap starting to come apart a little.
It's still 15,000
Yeah, it does appear that we
kilometers
have
an
a
hour.
little bit of burn through there. We can see pieces of the vehicle
Will-
flying off.
will
What
that,
a show it has been. It's been like
will that do it?
watching
Will that cause
Interstellar
it?
or something.
Or will it
This
be able
is
to survive
wild
that
to
enough?
see this, but the
I bet
ship
the,
is
will the
still
flap just
coming
go?
down,
Just fly off?
which is incredible to see.
How far can it go? That is the question.
Keep your eye on the altitude in the
Oh,
bottom
it's not
right-hand
doing
corner.
well.
We're at 54 kilometers right now.
Is it slowing down
Now,
enough that
ultimately,
it's not
the
going
data
to?
is the payload today. We've been saying it
It's just, like,
multiple times.
melting.
Our
Yeah, it's just
teams are
melting.
sitting, reviewing this data live, learning where the hot spots are. As you can see, there's an obvious hot spot
camera's
there
all
with the
dirtied
flap.
up with bits
And
of-
learning how we
bits of
can improve this
melted-
design. The goal was to
melted
get as
ship.
far through this high heat re-entry as possible. Ideally, we'd love to make it all the way down and perform that landing burn and flip maneuver, but we may not get that far today. We will see.
Again, this is a
Oh,
test.
come on. Is there another
And
camera
we
view?
are
Or maybe
gathering
there
as much
isn't.
data as possible,
Maybe like no,
visual
the other
data
cameras are worse.
as well, which we can see here. We are getting a lot of debris covering the camera on your screen, but we can still see some of those sparks and flames from that high heat
Just on
as
the very
ship
edge,
is
right
making
down
its
here,
way back
right
down to
through that.
Earth.
Ship now
Like,
at
here's
50
where it's not
kilometers
mangled.
and closing. The good news is
come on.
we
Is there
still got,
another
oh,
view?
looks like that camera lens just cracked. It's safe to say ship's getting a little beat up, but that's to be expected on a test flight. We are still learning how to improve the ship for total survival and recovery of the high heat reentry.
I'm honestly impressed that we're still getting this live view despite
That's
how
crazy.
much debris is coming off of this flap
Is
right
there
now.
enough that it will still launch the engine or fire the engines?
The fact that we've got it is good news.
Oh, no.
And
No.
I may have jinxed it. I apologize.
No. It's back.
Look at that. It's back.
We are still going.
And the teams here at SpaceX are excited, as you can tell by the cheering behind us. There's still a sizable crowd here at Mission Control Center.
10,000
Hawthorne.
kilometers.
A splashdown is expected in just about 4 minutes from now.
Well,
And we're still moving. We still have live views.
It's-
Starlink is
Vehicle
doing an
is
incredible
approaching
job.
maximum entry dynamic pressure.
it
External
hasn't
temperatures are
disassembled
dropping.
yet. So there's something in front of the camera.
Okay, good news. Those external pressures are
See that?
dropping.
We can,
The question
we can see
is,
through the holes.
how much the ship is left? We can't really tell. We can still see some of that particulate coming off. And unfortunately, we do have a cracked camera lens. But for any photographers out there and videographers,
My guess is
we know
just
that's,
the glass
that's
in
part of
front
the
of
gig
the camera.
sometimes.
Yeah, and you can see that the speed is rapidly slowing down. That's actually really great news
Watch-
for us.
watch in the bottom
we want
corner
the
there
vehicle to be slowing down
engines to turn on.
before it splashes down into the ocean. That'll help set us up for that flip maneuver, engines first down into the water.
Exactly. So we have seen this flip maneuver demonstrated on previous high altitude flight tests like serial number 8. Oh, more views. Or excuse, I should say, more light coming through the view that we have through that cracked and dirtied lens there.
If that glass would just fall off,
but
that
yeah,
little
so
window
we're
would just-
hoping that this flip maneuver that we can pull it off as soon as we get those views back. If we can get them, if the ship is still around,
Can
we
it
will
flip
bring it
Vehicle
back
has
to you.
passed
Yes.
maximum dynamic pressure.
It can.
That
the
is great
flap
news.
Doesn't
Maximum
help
dynamic
it
pressure
reorient
being
itself.
the
It's
moment in
engines.
which the vehicle experiences the greatest amount of aerodynamic pressure. Speed
that's-
still dropping. We're now at 37 kilometers above the ocean. Just like Flight 3, we are targeting a splashdown in the water in the Indian Ocean.
And we don't have a live view right now, but because we're still getting data and telemetry, that does tell us that ship is still doing okay, at least.
Yeah, the oh,
There we got
it
that
is.
live
It's
view
back.
back.
It's not very a good view.
To see that view, despite not being able to see very much.
The fact that it's there tells us the ship is still alive.
Yes, and
For now.
collecting data, continuing to collect data as we get closer and closer to Earth.
Yes, now 30 kilometers, now 29 above the Indian
Starship is at
Ocean.
30 kilometers altitude, Mach 2.
Thanks, Tony.
Sounds like the vehicle's traveling, as we just heard, Mach 2, which is,
That camera's not happy.
looks like we might, I thought maybe it might clear up. It is a little bit, now at T plus 1 hour, 3 minutes and 13 seconds
camera's so
into Starship Flight 4.
What was
Hoping
max height?
that the ship can
170
hang on.
kilometers?
It's probably potentially hanging on by a couple of bolts and threads, but it's still going, and that is excellent news.
That deceleration is looking
getting
incredible.
there.
We're about to
1,000
go
kilometers
under
an
1,000
hour.
kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
Starship
And
is at 20 kilometers altitude.
now keep in mind that even though we can't see anything, the data itself is what we really
Starship
are
is subsonic.
subsonic. They're telling us it's traveling
They
below the
start
speed
the
of
engines.
sound.
They fire the engines, and then it flips.
That movement means the flaps are actuating. I think we can see something.
Wow. Like,
this is a nail
moving.
biter. But we are, unfortunately, we can't see through the lens, but we're still getting the feed. Starship is now 11 kilometers over the ocean. All this data is incredibly important, even if,
the
you know,
skeleton
it
of
breaks
that
up
flap
right
is
now.
moving.
Okay, we can see that flap actuating through the glass.
Starship is passing through 10 kilometers altitude.
Okay, the next milestone will be initiation of the flip maneuver and landing burn. Keep an eye on the bottom
that flap
right
is
corner
so
of your
angry.
screen for
So-
those
it's
3
so
center
melty.
engines to relight. They will gimbal or angle so that the ship flips itself back up vertical and hopefully lands in a vertical position.
And the crowd is very excited to get this view of that flap still
Starship is
maneuvering.
passing through 5 kilometers altitude.
Three,
This is incredible.
2.
Getting very close to splashdown.
These fireflies are such a good sign of life right now. We wish we could see more, but we'll take it.
1. Oh, is it going to fire? Fire up
Starship
those
is at 2
engines?
kilometers altitude, terminal velocity.
Anything?
Landing burn startup for Starship.
0?
All right, good news there.
Something happened.
Nominal chamber pressure.
Landing bird startup.
No engines are firing.
Starship is in landing burn.
Going up.
Landing burn shutdown.
They hit something.
The landing bird shutdown was commanded.
I don't know what happened. Wow.
Wow. I mean, it was a little bit of use your imagination as you were going down with what we could actually see, but we were able to hear the ship did its landing burn. It sounded
Starship
like we
landing
might
burn
have got
shutdown.
2 engines. And there's the final call for landing burn shutdown, but we'll go back through all the data, but we did get confirmation that a landing burn took place. Starship made it through re-entry and did its first ever landing burn. From South Texas to the other side of the earth, Starship is in the water. What a day. What a day, guys. Yeah. That was absolutely incredible. We
All right.
we got views pretty much.
Wow. At the end, you saw the flap moving around, and yeah, somebody said the telemetry that we were seeing probably was out of sync with the telemetry that they were seeing. I don't know how they sync that up, but they did say, they called out, if you heard, that the rockets had fired, so good. And it seems to have slowed itself down in that little clip of the video that we saw. Something happened. It jostled. Everything jostled. So it definitely, something happened. So really cool. Wow. So, all right. What I think that was pretty successful. They were hoping to have it do a soft landing on both of them, and they did. The upper stage had some issues there with heat, and that flap, probably other parts of it not sustaining through all that, the reentry heat. But wow, that was cool. I didn't see the dome, King Crew. No chrome, no dome. So anyway, I hope that they can recover more, and or maybe it was transmitted. I don't know why, but that they can recover more of the video and maybe release it. That'd be really nice. So Stephen Jarvis said to Veritas, "Are you okay from your visit to Derp Village?" And Veritas responded to him, "Thank you for that." I am going to. Oh, they're making jokes about toasting marshmallows over Starship. They have that Starship there. It's a lighter. They made a lighter out of it. So anyway, that's what I'm gonna do for now. I think there's gonna be a lot more coverage coming from many other people. So my dog is barking in the background. Anyway, people, thank you for showing up. Thank you for watching this with me. It was very cool. Be looking for 10 o'clock p.m. tonight, Central Time, for a review of a debate with Dearth on Alex Jones. But everybody else, we'll see you next time. Here we go.
MC2, drop that beat.
All right, let it flow. Let yourself go. So I know that is the tempo.
So, yeah, let's do this.
Let's do this. Yo, it's MC2, the debunking tycoon. I shatter flat earthers, make them face the moon. Your attempts are decent, but they'll swoon in the face of my logic like a deflated balloon.
Oh, MC2, the monsoon cartoons. On your real stage, send it first to their views. Your theories are like old brews, sweeping ignorance, or just spreading the views.
FDFE stands for fumbling the facts, evidently. I drop truth bombs so splendidly. Your approach is soft, mine's unrelenting. I bring the science while you're just venting.
MC2, the buffoon with silver spoons. I tackle pseudoscience, make them change their tune. You're the sidekick, I'm the room. When it comes to debunking, I'm the room.
Dizzle. But hey, FTFE, we share the creed to educate and debunk the plant the seed. Though in this rap, it's clear indeed I've got the upper hand in word and deed. All right, hold on a second. The Zoom call died. Everything died. No.